Compudine, second day in a row, a good gain. It was up 230 yesterday. The company makes attack-resistant doors and windows. And Oni Systems down $3.38. The company slashed its revenue forecast for the rest of the year by 50%. The company manufactures optical communications gear. And Infogrames, grams, I should say, down $1.05. This is a French video game publisher. The stock down sharply in Europe earlier today due to uncertainty about how the attack on America will impact sales. The American Exchange Index down 9.24 today. For the week, it fell over 68.5 points, or 8%. But Welco Enterprises up $2.75. This company makes combat boots, and Allied Research up $2.30. The company develops weapon systems and ammunitions. The gainers list on the curve looked like the war zone today. Finally, the index shares all on the downside, especially the depository receipts. And that's the Wall Street wrap-up. Susie?
Paul, a new survey by the Conference Board shows that nearly half of all Americans think the attacks on the U.S. will push the country into recession. As Diane Swonk reports, consumer spending is the key to whether or not that happens.
The consumer has been the one cylinder keeping the U.S. economy in gear. But now there is concern consumer spending will also stall as the U.S. wages war on terrorism.
No extravagances, not even the internet.
I have to keep this economy going, so I'm doing my part.
After terrorists attacked New York and Washington last week, traffic fell off at stores across the nation because consumers were either too fearful to venture out or were at home watching events unfold on television. Sears says on the day of the attacks, its same-store sales fell 50% compared to the same period last year and ended the week at dismal levels. Walmart saw its sales sink 10% that Tuesday, but they improved by the weekend. And auto sales slumped roughly 25% on average for the week following the attacks. While many retailers say customers have been trickling back into stores this week, analysts doubt they will soon return to the levels they were at in early September.
Consumer confidence was down before this event, and I assume it will be down even farther. So yeah, now you combine this act with very real fears about losing people's jobs, and I think that will have an impact on retail.
Many economists anticipate consumers will cut back further on spending over the next few months, and that could deepen what some say is already a mild recession.
This is an economy in some way braced for the worst that wasn't occurring yet. Now the worst did occur, worse than anyone could imagine, and there will be repercussions to that. But the good news is that there is also a lot of stimulus, a lot of spending in the pipeline to get us to higher economic ground once we've gone through this horrible, devastating period.
Despite all of the uncertainty, many economists are confident the U.S. economy and consumer will bounce back next year. The only question is when. Diane Swonk, Nightly Business Report, Chicago.
Monday, continuing coverage of Wall Street and the economy as America rebuilds.
Well, the fun and games for Microsoft will have to wait. It's delaying the U.S. release of its Xbox game system by a week. It's Microsoft's first video game system. The Xbox will now hit stores on November 15th. The company won't say why it's pushing back the release, except to say it has nothing to do with the recent terrorist attacks.
The Securities and Exchange Commission today extended its emergency order waiving restrictions on corporate stock buybacks. The waiver was put into effect this past Monday to help smooth the reopening of trading, but it was only good until today. Now, the SEC says the same emergency rules will be extended through next week as well.
Senate approved a big airline bailout package tonight. The $15 billion plan provides $5 billion in cash and $10 billion in loan guarantees. It also gives airlines guaranteed insurance coverage. Senate Majority Leader Tom Daschle says that Congress might also consider assistance to help laid-off airline workers.
My Market Monitor guest tonight, Larry Wachtel, Senior Vice President and Market Analyst for Prudential Securities, has 35 years of experience in the investment community through recessions, wars, and other trying times. I'm glad you could be with us tonight, Larry. Welcome.
Thank you, Paul.
In your long career, have you seen anything comparable to the current market condition?
Well, the closest thing I would say was the crash of '87, but that was brought on by circumstances still to be determined. The strange crash. This was the direct result of that tragic event on the 11th of September. The magnitude of the decline, of course, one of the biggest declines in market history, but it came as a crescendo. It came after an 18-month, $6 trillion decline had already been in effect. So I look at this as the culmination of that bear market rather than the new leg of a new bear market.
So, I mean, does the current volatility after the plunge can suggest that we are at the bottom or close to it?
Well, if you look at the sentiment indicators and if you look at the technical indicators, they would suggest an approximate bottom. The only thing is you have not made that final adjustment to the change in profitability. 2 weeks ago, the street was looking for fourth quarter profits to be flat to higher. Now they're looking for a 12 to 15% decline. The adjustment to that reality is the thing that brought us down so dramatically this week.
So what type of a recession are we going to see? A quick V bottom to it, or is it going to be long and drawn out?
No, it won't be a V bottom, but it won't be long and drawn out either. I think the second quarter probably fringed on it. The third quarter will probably be a minus quarter. And I think the fourth quarter will slowly begin to come out of it. So it'll be short-lived, but we've been discounting this for quite some time. We have been in a manufacturing recession for almost a year. This is simply morphing into the broader economy.
Well, considering the impending war or warlike condition that we're going to be in for some time, are the defense stocks the place to be as far as investment strategy is concerned?
My problem is that on the initial reaction, they shot up dramatically, and there will be much more resources being brought to the defense industry. But a lot of these stocks reflected on the short term. We moved to a psychological overweighting on the group, but we aren't able to really pull the trigger on specific stocks because they've run so quickly.
What are you doing? Are you buying anything, sitting on the sidelines, waiting for even lower prices? What is your strategy?
My strategy is to buy blue chip names, quality names, when they come into my buying range.
Give us some of those names you like.
Okay, Pfizer at 35 and the lower end of its trading range. Verizon, the regional Bell company, at $50. Microsoft, having come from the mid-70s to the high 40s, coming into my buying range. Walmart, which will get the benefit of most of the consumer spending out of the tax rebate, down here at 44. And Citigroup, which has really been decimated from 50 to 36, coming into my buying range. Quality names, they're going to work out for me long term. I'm not looking to trade them. I'm looking to position them no matter what the averages are doing.
All right. As you mentioned before we got on the air, you think